Hello, good evening and a very warm welcome to the hot seat. In the hot seat this evening is a young politician, a provincial councillor, Pramitha Bandara Tenakun, who has a long political background. On that note, let's introduce him. Pramitha Tenakun, good evening to you.
Good evening.
You've been in the news recently. You resigned your ministerial roles in the Central Provincial
Yes.
Council.
Yes.
And it was a sign of protest. What were you protesting about?
There's a quote which I hold dear to my heart.
Yeah.
It's from Dr. Martin Luther King. It goes like this. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in times of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of trouble and controversy.
Right.
And I wanted to stand next to my father.
Yeah.
My father was thrown away from his organization, which he held for 25 years.
In
Dambulla. So, in a way, the party tried to take away his soul. And as a grateful son, I decided that it was wrong and I wanted to stand by him. And I wanted to show the SLFP and its leadership that we will not stand by everything what they do. My father has done so much for the SLFP. We've been there through thick and thin, in good times as well as in bad times. And when we were in power, when we were in oppositions, and we've sacrificed so much, and the party has given us so much, and we have given so much to the party. And when it came to his removal, I had to do something about it as a grateful son.
So you had to make a stand. But then, Pramitha, how do you mix this up? That's your loyalty to your father. It's a very personal thing. But it's the people of the area who elected you.
Yes.
And made you their representative in the provincial council. So surely there is an element of their people being let down because you needed to be loyal to your father. How do you mix the two?
Actually, I must say this, the reception I got after my resignation and the calls, the support I got is amazing. I haven't received that even after winning elections. And I think people are fully backing me in this when it comes to this resignation. And I wanted to do something different as a young politician. In Sri Lanka, you don't see politicians going with their conscience. And they usually cling on to power, cling on to ministerial luxuries. But I wanted to do something different and show Sri Lanka as well as our leadership that no, we are a new breed of politicians, and I had to do something it's just I had to go with my gut and I had to go with my conscience.
Well, the next election will tell if you did the right thing.
Yes.
But when will the next elections be?
You never know. I don't know. Because it's...
it's one of those controversial issues, isn't it?
Yes, democracy has been challenged. Now the local council elections, they have postponed it for 2.5 years now. And the provincial council elections are around the corner. And we don't know whether they'll have the elections or not.
Well, you know, democracy isn't easy. And in your family, which has had an illustrious track record, it's one of those political families that have emerged in Sri Lanka. Your grandfather before you, and then your father, and now you. So a strong political background, all with the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. So what do you have to say? Why is this split going on? What is the influence that the former president has, and what is the hold he has on the body of the SLFP?
I think the party roots, the base, is backing him, his policies, his
backing him up?
Yes.
But why? I mean, he lost the election.
Yes, he did, but he won the war, and then he was our candidate from the SLFP. And I'm sorry to say, but the current SLP leader was the opposition candidate. And after the elections, he became the leader. And I must say that we are partially responsible for that as well. I stand by it.
Can the Sri Lanka Freedom Party actually hold the seat of power again and gain the majority from the people with this split?
I believe we can.
With the split?
I believe we can. It's not a 50-50 split.
No.
You will see, and I think the entire country will see when we have an election. And who am I to say otherwise?
Where are your loyalties? With whom is it? Is it with with President Rajapaksa or with President Sirisena as the leader of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party?
Actually, after all this, what has happened within the party, I think my loyalty is with former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, because I'm a politician now. I'm with the masses. I'm with the people, and the people are backing him up. It's unbelievable following, and there's unbelievable trust.
Yes, but even with all that, he actually lost, and his track record is not very pretty. We know that he won the war, that there was unprecedented development infrastructure-wise, but there was also unprecedented borrowings. So one may have to go with the other. That's an economic perspective. But there were also serious violations of international norms, and President Kumaratunga once told me during that time that the fear psychosis present in the country at the time was nowhere comparable to what it was under her. And she said you should be careful because there's a real fear psychosis. And President Rajapaksa was basically a strongman, for want of a better word. His constant excuse was that he had the people's mandate, and therefore he did whatever he had to do. But the things went substantially wrong, including the collateral damage and how that was addressed. Not that the collateral damage happened, but how it was addressed. And his half-baked and half-hearted attempts at reconciliation, his turning off the blind eye to attacks on the minority communities, Beru and Alutgama, was absolute appalling disgrace for a country that has lived together as one for so long. So those are the track records. Are you going to back a man like that?
He has paid the price for it. He has lost an election, 2 elections in a row. But we learn from our mistakes and we go from there.
But do we learn from our mistakes?
We do.
But in 2010, actually, we'll come back to 2010 after this short commercial break. Don't go away. After all, this is The Hot Seat. We'll be back soon. And welcome back to The Hot Seat. In the hot seat today is Mr. Pramitha Bandara Tenakun, son of J.B. Tenakun, Janaka Bandara Tenakun. Now then, we were talking about 2010. So in 2010, if you say that people learned from their mistakes, in the aftermath of the war, President Rajapaksa should have really seen the signs on the wall. Only 58% of the votes came to him. President Kumaratunga did far better, percentage-wise. She did 63%, nearly 63%.
62%.
62.
Yes.
So that's significant. Now you'd imagine that with the entire country, from north to south, east to west, from the central hills to the flat beaches of the south and so on, everywhere there was grave happiness. Everybody, no matter who they were, as long as they were Sri Lankan, they actually hailed this victory over terror. And yet he only managed an abysmal 58%. Okay, it let him continue into his second term, but you would have imagined that he would have had an overwhelming vote, way over 70%.
No, in a democracy, the country is always split. You know, it's divided. People are divided. No matter what you do.
Well, okay. What is his track record to reconciliation?
When I say 58%, that's huge. That's huge in numbers.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, and his second term, the first term he won by 50 point something.
Yeah.
It was a narrow victory for him.
But surely you must agree that with the war behind you, and that was his main mantra.
Yes.
It's the mantra, we won the war. We have the best army commander in the world. We had 0 civilian casualties. These were their mantras. And these mantras went all horribly wrong. They played right into the hands of the diaspora with the claims that it was 0. What they meant to say was that they had a policy of trying to have 0 and casualties and trying to keep the collateral damage to a minimum. But that's not the way it came out. It came out to be in this political flourish, and the diaspora were able to ride on that.
For us, don't forget, Winston Churchill lost the elections after winning the war. So world is like that. Then after 4 years or 5 years, he won again in England. That's the history you and I know. And so this victory was significant. You can't say otherwise. And when you talk about the diaspora and the whole campaign. Now, I was born on the 11th September, and what America went through for one day on my birthday in 2000, we went through for 30 years. Nobody's talking about it. Child soldiers fought against us. Nobody seems to be talking about it. And our central bank was bombed.
These were all wonderful opportunities for President Rajapaksa to have come on a live TV program with the channels that were berreting him about it, not with the channels that were friendly to him, like on state television. There's no independence in that. But we're not trying to take. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but it does seem to be rather a bit of a nuisance. When President Kumaratunga lost, and she stepped down after her second term, as she was obliged to. She was this kind of vindictive attitude from the leadership of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party worked against her. She was also the head of state for 2 terms, and well in the thick of the war. Right? I mean, Mr. Rajapaksa, president when we won, but she was also not exactly treated well. She was ordered out of her home, and so on. Her security details reduced substantially. The number of vehicles, her official home they wouldn't fix the glass panes, and they wouldn't give it a coat of paint. And these are all sort of petty, vindictive matters, which was also used against General Fonseca. This is the best army commander in the world. Their words, not mine. And again, there seemed to be a complete lack of gratitude. And then it's a bit much for them to say that they too are being victims of that. So how as a young politician, how do you see these differences at the SLFP? Your family has a long history in the SLFP, and you want to continue with the SLFP. But will there be an SLFP for you to continue with?
I don't think so. I have serious doubts about it, because SLFP is moving away from our base, who has been with us through thick and thin, and the base is disheartened.
Who's responsible?
I think the current leadership, as well as all of us. All of us are responsible for the current situation.
Is Ranil Wickremesinghe responsible in any way?
I don't think he's responsible for it, because he's the leader of the United National Party, and by all means he should try his best to destroy the other party. So that's what has been. I don't blame him. Let's just leave him aside when it comes to the SLFP, and who I think we are responsible, and we as the party will have to find a way to keep the party base together, and the way things are going at the moment, I don't think we'll be able to do that. And the party's been it's heartbreaking to see what's happening to the SLFP at the moment.
Let's find out a little bit more about how heartbreaking that is all about after this short break. Don't go away. After all, this is the Hot Seat. And welcome back to the Hot Seat. And in the Hot Seat today is Mr. Pramitha Bandara Tennakoon from the Central Provincial Council. Mr. Tennakoon, now tell us, you said that it's heartbreaking to see your party of choice, your party of your grandfather and your father thereafter, and you say that the soul of his soul was taken away when the organizer's role was taken up. But don't you think also, as a young politician, don't you think that it's time that politics too evolved, and we got rid of not got rid of, but you sideline them, you keep them on the side, the sort of the old dinosaurs, you keep them side and say, well, we like you be there, and we want some new blood in it. Don't you think that that's what's happening here? Is that why he was, because he's old now and...
No, I don't think so. Let me tell you about my father. He's a cancer survivor. He's battled his life. Yeah. He's struggled every minute. Yeah. And for me and you to talk 10 words, it's nothing. It's just words for us. But every word is a struggle for him. And he's after laryngectomy. He's the only politician in the world who talks after a laryngectomy. And he's like that. So he's been doing that for the past 20 years. And for the SLFP to come out and say bye-bye to my father, you can't accept that.
Would it have been more acceptable, more palatable if he was given a position in which he was...
No, there are ways you do things. He's a member of parliament. He won the last elections. And he's been active. He's been the man who's brought the highest number of people to the May Day rally all these 25 years. And you can't do something like that to a person like that. Not only my father, I'm fighting for every father and brother out there who's been sidelined by the SLFP leadership. It's not only about my father. And I can remember Hirunika fought for her father when her father was shot. And people accepted it. And Duminda Disanayake fought for his father when his father was sidelined. So I have the same right to do, and same right to do what I'm doing. And the message that I want to send is two things. One thing, I wanted to stand behind my father at his lowest point. And the other thing is, I wanted to send a message. Look, we are not here for luxuries, but we are here on policy, and we are here, and I have a conscience, and I will go with my conscience. I have given that message, I think.
But, Pramitha, talking about young Duminda Disanayake, whose father was Bertie Premalal Disanayake, if ever there was a politician who was young and who was being obviously sidelined, that had to be Duminda.
I don't think so. Well, he was a cabinet minister.
He was only a cabinet minister in the last bits. He was for months and a day, years and a day. He was a deputy, and he was sort of kept there. Perhaps because the young princeling was on the up and up, and you can't possibly have the young princeling being overtaken.
I can't agree with that.
But that's true. If we examine the record, I don't have the details of the days and so on. But young Duminda Disanayake was the youngest ever member of parliament at that time, and his rise was rather remarkable. And his father was doing a grand job for the party, and so was young Daminda. But he was always virtually sidelined, and it is only in 2015 when the unexpected results came in. Well, yes, I know what you're saying, that he was a cabinet minister before that, but Daminda Dissanayake spent a long time in the wilderness before he came up. And you can't hold the youth again. You can't say that he's young. Even though he was.
I don't agree with you on that, Faraz.
Well, we have to agree to disagree then. Yes. But I think the point that we're trying to say is this. Let's ask you, you're a young politician. You're the future. You were at our AOTY where, the theme this year was I am the future. And the future of our country is inextricably linked with people such as you. In that context, let's ask you this question. In the future, what do you foresee for Sri Lanka? Do you foresee a real democracy, a real commitment to addressing corruption, like they promised? They promised us good governance, and we've had the FCID, which is nothing more than a political tool, as viewed by some. They investigate some things, and then those files are sent away. They investigate another set of things, and those files are sent away. And at the end of the day, they're probably only left with the Rajapaksa files. And even that, they're like various people pulling in all directions. So if there was a real commitment to address corruption, it would have been done. And do you agree with me, or I'm asking you, what does the future hold for this country? Is it a real democracy where everybody is enjoying an equitable lifestyle?
Are you talking about the current situation or the future?
The future. What do you feel for the future? Because you are the future.
At the moment, democracy is being challenged. I'll tell you why. There's no effective opposition in this country at the moment. One thing. And the CJ of this country was sent home by a letter. Two wrongs doesn't make one right. You can't do that to a CJ. But in this country we did that, and we kept quiet. And a minority leader became the prime minister of this country. Now our constitution doesn't allow that, but we kept silent while they did that. And now we haven't had elections for the past 2.5 years, local council elections. Now the local councils are dead at the moment, run by...
How effective are these councils? That's the other question.
They are effective in full force when they are actually in practice, When there's a council, you meet and you do things. You can't say that they are not effective at all. There might be ups and downs, but you have to have it. We have a system in this country. And you can't just shut it down just like that. And now that's been postponed. And so democracy has been challenged. And today, North Central Provincial Councillors, 17 of them out of 33, went and met the governor and told, look, we have 17 signatures and Chief Minister should be removed. And from what I heard so far, governor refused to accept that letter.
I think he's bordering on the right, because the rules are that you then must resign from the party and seek election again.
Now in a democracy, majority rules.
But
okay, at least accept it and tell...
The Chief Minister is only reflective of what's happening in the Parliament.
Okay, then what happened to Harin Fernando? How did he become the Chief Minister till the elections? You can't have two ways.
It's all higgledy-piggledy at the moment.
So,
there's no direction. So what of the future?
Future is bright. I think
is it orange? Is the future orange?
That's what came to my mind. That's why I laughed. Future is bright. I think we have to be optimistic about the future, and things will clear. And I hope and pray that one day a good, solid leader will lead us and take us in the correct path. Somebody who can take decisions, and somebody who will not kneel in front of the Western world, and somebody who will make us self-sufficient one day. And that's my hope. And I hope and pray that it will happen. And I hope and pray that we will be able to make that happen in the future.
Well, Pramita Bandara Tenakun, thank you very much for being in the hot seat and for being quite so open. We look forward to having you on our network again, of course. And
thank you for us.
It's a great pleasure.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you.
And that's it from the hot seat this week. We'll see you again in a fortnight. Take care. Good night.